Welcome to the Globe Food Equipment training session for the 3000 and 4000 series slicers. Topics of this training session include key components of the slicer, slicer installation, operating instructions, cleaning instructions, knife sharpening, slicer maintenance, and optional slicer accessories. The key component portion of this video is provided to help you become familiar with your Globe slicer. Start-stop touchpad controls, slice thickness dial, receiving area, food chute, slicer table, knife, knife sharpener, knife ring guard, end weight, knife cover. If you have not already installed your Globe slicer, refer to the owner's manual for the proper instructions. Globe recommends that you clean the slicer and lubricate various parts of the slicer before using it for the first time. Once the slicer has been cleaned and lubricated, plug the slicer into a properly grounded 3-prong outlet, and you're ready to begin slicing. Automatic slicer operation. Be certain the slicer is turned off. The slicer table is completely closed by rotating the slice thickness dial clockwise, and that the auto engage lever is in the manual position. Pull the food chute completely toward you. Next, with the end weight out of the way, place the product onto the food chute and then set the end weight against the product. If the food product is too long, place the end weight against the product and push the prongs into the food to hold it in place. Press the start button and begin slicing. Note, the slicer will not start unless the auto engage lever is in the manual position. The power indicator light will illuminate. Globe slicers are programmed to have specific codes flash when the slicer is not in proper operating position. Refer to the troubleshooting section of the manual for a description of the codes. To make the food chute move automatically, move the auto engage lever into the automatic position. To adjust the chute speed, press the faster or slower buttons on the front touchpad control panel. To stop the auto drive only, turn the auto engage lever to the manual position. Note, the knife is still rotating even though the chute has stopped. To turn the slicer completely off and stop the knife, press the stop button on the touchpad controls. Your slicer must be thoroughly cleaned or sanitized after each day's operation. Do not hose down or pressure wash the slicer or any slicer parts. Never use a scrubber pad, steel wool, or any other abrasive material on the slicer. Never use a bleach-based cleaner, sodium hypochlorite, or sanitizer. Use a moist sponge or cloth to clean your slicer. Always be sure to wring out excess water before cleaning. To begin the cleaning procedure, be sure that the slicer is turned off and the slicer table is completely closed. Remove the food chute by loosening the chute release knob and lift the food chute off the chute arm. Note, you cannot remove the food chute unless the slicer table is completely closed and the slicer is plugged in. Unplug the slicer. Lift the knife sharpener cover. To remove the knife cover, hold both knobs on the knife cover and pull up on the spring-loaded knob. Lift the knife cover upward to remove. To clean the knife ring guard, insert a nylon brush into a mild detergent and warm water solution. Work the brush along both sides of the knife. Repeat this procedure as necessary. When cleaning the knife, be certain you wring out the excess water from the sponge and carefully wipe from the center of the knife outward. Be certain you clean the back of the knife as well. To replace the cleaned and dried knife cover, align the notches of the knife cover with the knobs located on the knife ring guard. The top of the knife cover has a hole that fits over a pin at the top of the ring guard. Lower the knife sharpener cover. With the slicer table completely closed, wipe the slicer table off, beginning at the knife and pulling toward you. For your safety, never wipe the slicer table toward the knife. Clean and wipe down the entire slicer. Automatic slicers have a lift lever. Before using the lift lever, make sure the auto-engage lever is in the manual position and that the chute arm